So should you put hobbies and interests on a CV? And if so, what should they be? This is a good question because quite a lot of people who hire staff will say, oh, I really like to see interests and hobbies and things like that on a CV. You know, it really helps me to understand the person. The truth of it is, what it does is it promotes unconscious bias. If somebody was to write on their CV that they were an avid, I don't know, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, so you know, if you're a West Ham supporter, you know, please don't feel bad. But if you would, I'm using this example because we had a client who was an avid West Ham supporter and who insisted on putting this on his CV. And that's fine. However, what if that CV gets sent to an Arsenal fan, for example? You have just created unconscious bias for absolutely no reason whatsoever, because the fact that this person supported West Ham and likes football has nothing to do with their ability to do their job. So, you know, that person, that Arsenal fan who's recruiting this person may look at that and think, don't really like West Ham people. So therefore, I have this unconscious bias against you. So it just never works out well. The chances of your hobbies or interests, things that you like, that you do outside of work that are pretty irrelevant to you being able to do your job, the chances of those things being the same interest and hobbies and likes of the person that is reviewing your application, it's more likely that they won't be than will be. Another example, we had a client who was a very experienced managing director, very talented chap, whose hobby was Thai boxing. Now, in no way does that offend me. I quite enjoy martial arts, but I can imagine that there might be lots of people out there who would find the whole concept of Thai boxing to be perhaps slightly pugilistic and violent, and therefore they might apply some kind of unconscious bias against that particular person, or they might just have a picture of this person in their head that they have a shaved head and tattoos and muscles growing out of every corner of their body, and that might not be their preconception of what a managing director might be. All these subconscious bias things go through people's heads. Now, I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying they exist and we need to live in the real world. Another example, we had somebody who genuinely enjoyed train spotting. And on their original CV, before we wrote it for them, they actually had some reference to train spotting. And it's a very difficult conversation, but I suppose a lot of people think that might be maybe a little bit nerdy. Now, I'm not suggesting I think that way, but again, you're promoting unconscious bias because other people might think that way. So it's a difficult topic, and you know what? If you climbed Mount Kilimanjaro in some kind of strange fancy dress outfit, raising £10,000 for charity, then by all means put that on your CV in your hobbies and interests section. But if you're just describing things that you like that have no relevance to the job you're applying for, then I'd leave it off. You know, the things we see a lot are, I enjoy socializing and going to the cinema with my friends. We all do, mostly. And do you know what? Who really cares? So, you know, people might tell you that it's good to understand a bit more about your personality and you as a person. But in many cases, it just doesn't do anybody any favors. So I would just steer clear, well away from that. Leave hobbies and interests completely off your CV unless you've done something really, really special that's worthy of mention.